Germany.
So y'all played a victim because Russia kicking y'all out, but you ain't telling the truth why Russia kicking y'all out. Russia kicking y'all out because you took advantage of a crumbling government and tried to take over. What's happening here in the United States?
Crumbling government.
You see, this is chess, not checkers. What did Denzel, what did my boy from Training Day say? You've been planning this all day? I've been planning this all week. Do y'all think this is a coincidence? These fish people been planning this for years. So now when you read the protocols of the Zionist leaders, oh, that's fake, that's myth. But when you read the minutes of what y'all planning to do, and now we seeing it playing out, it's kind of strange you saying that this is a myth, but we watching it unfold. So y'all took advantage of the Russian government being in shambles. Here's my opportunity to pounce and take over the Russian government. These are the Khazars, the fish people. Finish that up, Op. Yeah, they had my channel blocked for so long. This probably gonna get blocked too. I ain't worried about it.
Gotta put it out.
Gotta put it out. You finish that up, that page up?
It's some more up here. We'll read a little bit. It says, even in the days of the czars, the Jews had not been satisfied with adjusting themselves to the laws of the Gentiles then in power. Even then, the Jewish 4% minority insisted on the right to enforce their Talmudic conceptions on the 96% Gentile majority.
So that's all they're doing. They're not telling you they're getting their practices from the Talmud, but that's what they're doing. So the takeaway from that page is the Khazars, the fish people, wait till their government is crumbling. Here's our chance to pounce. What happened here in 1933, family? Y'all remember? What?
Great Depression.
The Great Depression. Less than 100 years after chattel slavery and you lose your free labor, y'all broke. Guess who comes to the rescue? The Khazars, Rothschilds.
With the Federal Reserve.
JP Morgan. We'll bail y'all country out. How you giving money to a government? I just gave you $100 billion. How you gonna arrest my grandson? How you gonna arrest my great-grandson? He just raped a congresswoman. But his great-granddaddy bailed your country out in 1933. How is this a free country with laws? So their same motives or MOs, operational motive for operation, is never changed. Government crumble, we got the bankroll. They did the same thing in Russia. Now here's a resource I got offline here. This is right online, and this is a book. This book is, this book, I have a PDF of it, and this book is entitled The Russian Revolution. This book is entitled The Russian Revolution. I have a PDF, you can get it from me, or you could go on internet, Google Books, and just type in The Russian Revolution. It's a PDF, and this is also a website. This is copied and pasted from a website that published a book as an HTML document. So let's just read a couple high notes here, family. The Russian Revolution. This is chapter 16.
Just start at the top.
Yeah, the Jew factor.
Yeah. Okay. It is not unnaturally claimed by Western Jews that Russian Jewry as a whole is most bitterly opposed to Bolshevism. So those Jews that used to live in Russia, they've been wanting to overthrow their government, the Russian government. Read on. Now, although there is a great measure of truth in this claim, since the prominent Bolsheviks who are preponderantly Jewish do not belong to the Orthodox Jewish Church, it is yet possible, without laying oneself open to the charge of anti-Semitism, to point to the obvious fact that Jewry as a whole has consciously or unconsciously worked for and promoted an international economic material despotism in which, with Puritanism it, as an ally, has tended in an ever increasing degree to crush national and spiritual values out of existence and substitute the ugly and deadening machinery of finance and factory.
What is all this saying? Let's go back and unpack this, family. It says it's obvious to point out as a whole, whether consciously or unconsciously, these Khazars have worked for and promoted international economics. What's going on right now? What's the main currency popping up right now? Cryptocurrency. That's an international currency. So 2 + 2 is, who's behind that cryptocurrency? They've been one international commerce. It says, and material despotism. Anybody got that stimulus check? You catch that bad boy?
Yep.
I catch mine. That's all their system. You don't need to work, Gina. Here go 1,500. Go out there and have a good time. So what you gonna do with the 1,500? Go to their McDonald's.
Put it right back.
Go to their Best Buy.
Yep.
So giving you stuff, and now you don't got no skills. Come on to college, Zamar. Come on to college. You don't got to learn how to farm. You ain't got to learn how to plumb. Get this good certificate. Put this paper on your wall. Now you need me for a job.
Wow.
But you can't plant no crops. You can't even build a house anymore. And your granddad, it may not wasn't the best house, but he built that house. It kept us off the street. We know when we got here, it was safe. We may be here fighting and fussing, but it's home. And my granddaddy built this. Our granddaddies ain't did nothing no more. You see how they get us coming and going? This is chestnut checkers, family. These are the Khazars. Let's read that last sentence. We're going to move on. It is also
a fact that Jewry as a whole strove every nerve to secure and heartily approve of the overthrow of the Russian monarch, which they regarded as their most formidable obstacle in the path of their ambitions and business pursuits.
Everyone forgets. Well, no one forgets their enemy except us. It's better now, but we can work now. Why you want to talk about who we are? You got a college credit, you got a Benz.
That's what.
Why you want to talk about what they did to us?
That's what Brother Ebri was talking about last night. I was looking at it, and he was showing how they're telling us to forget about slavery, and our own people are up there saying, well, we can't harp on this forever. It's time to move on. Our own skin.
So we got to move on, but these Khazars was plotting to overthrow the Russian government. Now it's time Putin's calling in your marker. I remember what y'all did. I ain't forgot who y'all were. Putin's calling in the markers now. You see how the point we're making, family, everybody wants us to forget what we've been through and who did what to us. Putin hasn't forgotten what y'all did to the Russian government. When we were down and out and y'all had finance and y'all could have helped us, y'all took advantage of us. Then y'all try to take over the government. This book, The World Host we read, it got a lot more stuff in there about these Khazars. So now you want to paint Putin like he's a crazy lunatic, but when I read about the stuff you did, you are not human. We got receipts, and your own people are writing about it. That's what makes it bad. Your own people are writing about your dirty laundry.
I wish I would have known this early and thought about it, because they had that documentary, Ukraine on fire, so you can see how this has been brewing for years. And this is exactly what they just keep doing, the same thing over and over again, where because it pretty much seems like they're doing it here, where they install Black Lives Matter. Basically, just to make it simple, they'll install like a group of people that's upset about something that will go against the regime. It's acting like it's going against the government, but what it is so that they can cause anarchy to actually be able to let it crumble and then be able to take over what they want to do. So if you think about it, they had before this Zelensky guy, I was going to send it to you, but I was like, he already done made his class. But before this Zelensky guy, the previous regime in the last few years, they had a group where every week people were protesting, people was in the streets, people was throwing stuff because they was, and then the US media is saying that this guy, the leader, is evil, but he was trying to do deals with Russia. Let's get on the same page type of thing. So they install. So I was having trouble keeping up at first. Then it started clicking,
making sense.
And then Zelensky comes in. He's a fish person. So I didn't get to finish the video, but I said, okay, they've been doing this same thing over and over. And then, for example, Crimea, when Putin and them went and now they have control over that, our media or their media, the US media, which we know who is controlled by, they said that Putin, he's invading, he's doing all of this, it's Russian soldiers. They said it's always Russian soldiers here. And they said the Crimeans wanted to leave Ukraine, probably because of the previous thing I just told y'all. They saw like all the riots, everything was going on, and they wanted to join Russia. So on the media, we saw, and this was in 2014, we saw, oh, Russia's invading Crimea, it's a war, it's this, and this. Then they had an election and he won 96% of the vote. On the US media, they said they voted with guns to their backs.
Wow.
So they used the people use the media and then they install plants inside of your, so like when, that's why we know Black Lives Matter is not for us.
Right.
They install, now the statement, it's a good quote unquote statement saying our lives matter, right? But what they do is they'll get people that don't got nothing to do with us, don't got the values, beliefs, or anything that we have. And then they start vandalizing, terrorizing, doing all these things because it'll give the government now a reason to install legislation, power, or change things. And I said, man, I was
now stop. That's the perfect read. What you just said. Read that last paragraph.
At the bottom.
Now see, he didn't know about Shamoya didn't know about this class or nothing, right? But just getting knowledge. What he just said. Read that last part. All this
may be admitted, as well as the plea that individually or collectively, most fish may heartily detest the Bolshevik regime, yet it is still true that the whole weight of Jewry was in the revolutionary scales against the Tsar's government. It is true their apostate brethren who are now riding in the seat of power may have exceeded their orders.
So stop. Remember, apostate is you're going against what you originally held. So what Shamoya is saying, this is recorded. Y'all fish people on both sides.
Yes.
But some of you fish people like, no, I'm good. I ain't got no problems. But the other fish people who are controlling, no, you do got a problem. When they took over, when they took over our land in 1948, it was people said, I don't want to go to Israel. The leader said, you're going. You're going to learn Hebrew. You're going to learn how to farm. You see, they're playing a game. They're like Shamoya says, they create the environment to push their agendas. Let's read this. Let's finish this out. Because what Shamoya said, the last, it may be
that the Jews often the victims of their own idealism, have always been instrumental in bringing about the events they most heartily disapprove of, that perhaps is the curse of the wandering Jew.
And that last part
That
is
part
garbage.
is garbage.
That last part is garbage. But you see what Shamaria said? They create their own problems, and then we got the solution.
And in this book, like this book here that we read at first, The World Hopes, at the bottom, it had a little nugget that kind of made sense because you said they're on both sides, and then some groups are okay, and then the higher group, which those people would be called the Zionists.
Right. The Zionists saying you're going to Israel, you're going to stop speaking this German and Polish, you're going to learn Yiddish because we gotta sell this story to everybody.
It says in here on page 119, in this connection, during the time of the Tsars, Poland, with a Jewish population of about 10%, was a part of Imperial Russia, as were Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Finland. So it's telling you that it's a percentage of them in all these countries.
Where are they running to and being allowed to come into?
The West. They're running
Poland.
And yeah, they went to Poland, which is the border of Crimea now. And now Poland is getting ready to send troops into Ukraine to fight against Russia.
They're all the same people, family. They're all the same people, but they always divided. The Zionists is like, we're controlling this. The poor fish people like, I'm good here with my little fruit stand. And the Zionists like, no, this is what you're going to do. You're going to say that this Negro came in here and robbed you. Like, my child plays with a Negro child. I don't care about that. A Negro robbed your fruit stand.
That's a perfect example. That's how you seen on, they got people just like us on YouTube. They got people on YouTube. He's showing you that they bombed, the Ukrainians bombed their own kindergarten schools, but then they say, oh, somebody else did it.
You see, false flags is nothing new. But when you're asleep and under false doctrine, you don't see this. This class is all about Ukraine's pain. Y'all range Ukraine's pain. We got more, family. I got to keep going because we got a lot of history to get to. This is another book. We have it here in the Bayat. It's available online as PDFs. This is Arthur Koestler, who is a Khazar. He's a fishman. He learns the truth and says, my grandfather and my grandfather's grandfathers have been lying to me. I have no Judaic blood in me. I do not descend from Abraham. This is Arthur Koestler's own report based on his research. And he says, we're not part of the 12 tribe, so I guess we're the 13th tribe. This is by your own people is telling the truth. Take us to page 14, if you would. Now, I think this one I went back and highlighted for you.
Not this page though, but you talking about
so critical. I'm only working 50 hours a week. Not this one you did. These young folks, not this one you didn't.
You left me straight.
Page 14, 732 AD. Let me see where we at.
I see it perhaps not surprising that in 732.
Come.
It is perhaps not surprising, given these circumstances, that in 732, after a resounding Khazar victory over the Arabs, the future emperor Constantine V married a Khazarian princess.
What'd you say,
That the future emperor Constantine V married a Khazar princess.
Constantine is a Roman emperor. He descends from Constantine the Great. This is one of Constantine the Great's great-great-great-grandsons. He marries a what?
A Khazar princess.
He marries a Khazar princess. Anybody see where I'm going with this?
And then this last part, in due time, their son became Emperor Leo IV, known as Leo the Khazar.
He's known as what?
Leo the Khazar.
Lock that name in your brain. They have a child. His name is Leo the Khazar. Now, let's just let this flow. Who says you find your lineage by your mother?
They do.
The fish people say, I'm a Jew because of my mother. Leo the Khazar mother was a Khazar. The Khazars takes over Rome.
So by our standard, he's really a Roman.
He really would be considered a Roman. But if we're going to be objective, Constantine took over Rome. He was from Britain. So we don't know Constantine's true race, but he was born in Britain, and he was going to share the world with the other Roman emperors, but they became wicked. And Constantine says, "You know what? I'm not putting both of y'all up." And Constantine took over the world. So this Constantine is one of Constantine's great grandsons, and he marries a Khazar. He marries a Khazar family to strengthen the Roman army, because the Khazars was the only ones able to stop the Muslims. Abraham's son through Ishmael, remember he was promised to have 12 princes. Abba says, "My word does not return to me." So here's Abba keeping his word to Abraham. "I'm bringing up your boys, Abraham." Abraham's sons through Ishmael are taking over the world. And the Khazars stopped them when they got up to the steeps, the Caucasus Mountains. The Khazar says no. And Ishmael's sons had to turn back around. When Rome, Constantine's grandson, seen that, like, yo, the Khazars stopped the Muslims. Let me marry into you. So now I got Khazar muscle. Now you Muslims, y'all took Judea from me. Now I got Khazar muscle. Let's go back and take Jerusalem, because Jerusalem is ours. Y'all see this world history? So we got Constantine's grandson marries a Khazarian princess. They have a son named Leo the Fourth. He's known as Leo the Khazar. Take us to page 60 to 61. The converts and the protectors. This is Arthur Koestler, the 13th tribe. Page 60 through 61. It's going to get real good. We just got to get through this rough part, y'all.
Which part?
Page 60, that's not highlighted yet?
Not yet. I highlighted the other one for you. This is page 60. Persecution in varied forms had started with Justinian I and assumed particularly vicious forms under Heraclius in the 7th century. Leo III in the 8th, Basil and Leo IV in the 9th, Romanius in the 10th. Thus, Leo III, who ruled during the 2 decades immediately preceding the Khazar conversion to Judaism.
Khazar conversion to what?
Judaism.
Okay, not what we practice, but what those Talmudists was teaching. So these are our ancestors, the wicked ones, taught them the Talmud and Kabbalah. Not what we practice. We practice what Moses got. So we don't practice Judaism, but our wicked ancestors who were dark Israelites taught these Khazars Judaism. Read that again out.
Thus, Leo III, who ruled during the 2 decades immediately preceding the Khazar conversion to Judaism, he attempted to end the anomaly of the tolerated status of Jews at one blow by ordering all his Jewish subjects to be baptized. Although the implementation of the order seemed to have been rather ineffective, it led to the flight of a considerable number of Jews from Byzantium. So the emperors, the Romans are saying, y'all are leaving Judaism, the converts. Y'all leaving Judaism, y'all gonna be baptized into Catholicism. So these Jews, these converts, these Khazars says we're leaving Byzantium, which is New Rome. That's the East.
That's the East Rome. So that's how these Khazars started to spread throughout the world. They converted to Judaism, and then when the Romans was like, no, we are a Christian nation, aka we are a Catholic nation, they started running to get away from the persecution. Everybody with us? Read on.
In this city, Khazarian Itil are Muslims, Christians, Jews, and pagans. The Jews are the king, his attendants, and the Khazars of his kind. The king of the Khazars had already become a Jew. He became a Jew in the caliphate of Harun al-Rashid, and he was joined by the Jews from all lands of Islam and from the country of the Greeks, Byzantium, indeed the king of the Greeks at this present time.
So now the Khazar king is being our protector. Read it again. We came from all lands of the Muslims.
And was joined by Jews from all lands of Islam and from the country of the Greeks, Byzantium, indeed the king of the Greeks at this present time, the year of Hegra 332, has converted the Jews in his kingdom to Christianity by coercion.
So everywhere we were forced to be Christians, now these Khazars, the king of the Khazars is a Jew, we're hearing about it. And Black Jews and converted Jews are going to Khazaria, or where they rule at, because we got freedom to practice their Judaism. So now these converts are our protectors. Y'all following? Read on.
Thus, many Jews took flight from the country of the Greeks to Khazaria. The last two sentences quoted refers to events 200 years after the Khazar conversion and show how persistently the waves of persecution followed each other over the centuries. But the Jews were equally persistent. Many endured torture, and those who did not have strength to resist returned later on to their faith, quote unquote, like dogs to their vomit, as one Christian chronicler gracefully puts. Equally picturesque is the description of a Hebrew writer one method of forced conversion used under Emperor Basil against the Jewish community of Aurea in southern Italy, Rome. How did they force them? Anyone refusing to accept their erroneous belief was placed in an olive mill under a wooden press and squeezed in the way olives are squeezed in the mill.
So the Romans are like, y'all want to leave that Judaism alone and come under Catholicism, aka Christianity, and if not, I got torture devices for you. This is confirming Benaya's research about the racks and the torture chambers. So now you got Black Jews and white Jews all alike. Rome saying, y'all are going to convert, or I'm putting you. So just like they squeeze the oil out of olives, put him on the press. I'm gonna squeeze you to death. So now, if you could, you're running to Khazaria, or where Khazaria rule at, because the king of Khazaria got muscle. So they became converts and our protectors. Y'all see where we're going? For the sake of time, let's go over to the next page. Let's drop to page 181. Page 181 through 182. I think, let's see.
Probably the next book.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Race and myth. So that just started right at the top.
Come.
The Jews of our times fall into two main divisions, Sephardim and Ashkenazium.
The Jews of our day, there's two divisions, the Sephardim and the Ashkenazis. Guess who the Sephardim are?
Is that us?
That's us.
Yeah.
That's the dark Jews who were in Spain long before them. Long before them. So they
What are they called again?
Sephardim or Sepharad, and that's where we believe the word Spain come from, Sephardim. So we were known as the Sephardim or Black Jews. They're being known now. Sephardim. Thank you.
Because you said
There's no F sound.
So we would say Sephardim.
Sephardim. So we're the Sephardim Jews. They are the Ashkenazi Jews. Now the world knows about two different classes of Jews. So now, when you say Jew, you got to classify. Was he a Sephardim, or was he an Ashkenazi? But before this time, when you said Jew, all they knew was this, the black hand side. But now, because the Khazarians have converted, we have the white hand side. Two classes of Jews now. Read on.
The Sephardim are descendants of the Jews who since antiquity have lived in Spain. In Hebrew, Sepharad, is what you said, until they were expelled at the end of the 15th century. So that means the 1400s.
Come on, boy. So give me that A flat.
Because
It's A flat, right?
The reason why that's so important, let me just read it again.
Huh.
It says, until the Sephardim are the descendants of the Jews who since antiquity had lived in Spain.
So this is why we're telling our mommies and our poppies, you're not Spanish. You are an Israelite. You are a Jew. You lived in Spain since antiquity. When they say antiquity, they don't know how long you've been there. We were there before any white Jew. These are my Spanish Puerto Ricans, my Boricuas. This is your history.
Is that where the word antique comes from?
Yeah, antique is related to antiquity.
It's old.
Old. We can't go, we don't know how, all we know is these dark Jews have been in Spain forever. Ever. Read on.
And it says, until they were expelled at the end of the 15th century.
What happened at the end of the 15th century?
1492-ish.
1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
And then what they do, they transatlantic or sent them on slave ships.
So when the Sephardic Jews are being expelled from Spain at the end of the 15th century, that's 1492. It just so happens Columbus was like, I got room for you on my ship. And I know you speak Hebrew. I heard the lost tribes are across these oceans. I know y'all great navigators because y'all sons of Solomon. I need you. You see 2 + 2? But you say us black people, we just showed up in 1600. We are ancient. So it's just 2 + 2. Portugal and Spain says you Jews gotta go. Columbus says my boat got room for you. Go ahead, Al.
No, I was just saying this chapter, this is crazy. And then and it says, and settled in the countries bordering on the Mediterranean, the Balkans, and to a lesser extent, Western Europe. They spoke a Spanish Hebrew dialect, Ladino, and preserved their own traditions and religious rites.
They spoke Ladino, Spanish Hebrew. Now you got me in South America calling me a Latino. Isn't that kind of ironic? I came over here speaking Ladino, and you just turned to put it, because y'all ignorant can't understand my dialect. So I'm saying Ladino, but you're hearing Latino. So you just changed my identity. I'm a Ladino, not a Latino, Mr. Spaniard. Lost history, family. Read on.
In the 1960s, the Sephardim was estimated around 500,000.
500,000.
The Ashkenazium at the same period numbered about 11 million.
They deep now. We're spread out under persecution. The Ashkenazim are growing. Converts are growing. Read on.
Thus, in common parlance, Jew is practically synonymous with Ashkenazi Jew, but the term is misleading. For the Hebrew word Ashkenaz was in medieval rabbinical literature applied to Germany, thus contributing to the legend that modern Jewry originated on the Rhine.
The Rhine is another word, a nickname from Germany.
There is, however, no other term to refer to the non-Sephardic majority of the contemporary Jewry. For the sake of piquantry, it should be mentioned that the Ashkenaz of the Bible refers to the people living somewhere in the vicinity of Mount Ararat and Armenia. The name occurs in Genesis 10:3 and First Chronicles 1, verse 6, as the sons of Gomer, who are the son of Japheth. Ashkenaz is also a brother of Togarmah, a nephew of Magog, whom the Khazars, according to King Joseph, claimed as their ancestor, but worse was to come. Whose was to come. For Ashkenaz is also named in Jeremiah 51:27, where the prophet calls his people and their allies to rise and destroy Babylon. Call thee upon the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. This passage was interpreted by the famous Sadia Gaon, spiritual leader of the Oriental Jewry in the 10th century, as a prophecy relating to his own times. Babylon symbolized the caliphate of Baghdad, and the Ashkenaz who were to attack it, either the Khazars themselves or some allied tribe. Continue.
For the sake of time. So all we need from that, we just read the historians and Arthur Koestler is saying, if we do the math, the fact that they admit and call themselves the Ashkenaz was evident that you don't descend from Shem. Because when you match Shem's lineage in the Bible, and y'all saying that, y'all proudly says, I'm an Ashkenazi Jew. Well, Ashkenazi Jew is oil and water. It's an oxymoron. It's saying I'm black and white. You can't be black. Which one are you? So that's what Arthur Koestler himself is saying. For them to admit that I'm an Ashkenazi Jew, it's an oxymoron because the lineage are two different brothers. That's what he brought out in that. We said all that just to say, if you're an Ashkenazi Jew, you are a convert. You're not a descendant from Hashem. You're not a descendant of Judea. That's what we read all that for. For the sake of time, let's get rid of this resource. Let's go to page 183. Y'all sitting down? We got to go through all this history to point out that Abba Yah reigns. Abba Yah word is not coming back to him void. You're living through prophecy right now today.
Auction sales, is that the right one?
No, we're going to page 183 of the same book. I'm sorry. This is page 183 of the 13th tribe. No one knows what the Jews really look like. No one knows what the original Jews look like. They were olive, but then when I look at olive, you either have a black olive or a green olive. And then I found out that a green olive is an olive you picked before You see how backwards they are? How are you picking the Most High's fruit before it's ripe?
Oh, it's good. I heard carrots were black before, like purplish.
I heard of a purple carrot.
Yeah.
But olives are black. So when you say Jesus was olive, you're dead on. He is olive. He's black. No one knows what the Jews look like, right? Page 183, Arthur Koestler, the 13th tribe.
I got it. Next, we must glance at some of the physical characteristics which anthropologists use as criteria and on which commas conclusions are based. One of the simplest, as it turned out, most naive, maybe I can read some above here. Despite this
I got some highlighted though.
I didn't know that this part. I didn't know if you want that part or just start at physical characteristics.
Yeah, we do need that. We do need that. But this is the paragraph we need. Just that paragraph in the middle.
It says, page 183, race and myth. It says, Thus, despite the view usually held, the Jewish people is racially heterogeneous.
The Jewish people are racially heterogeneous. What that means? If I'm heterosexual, what does that mean?
You straight, like you
We're straight.
keeping the law.
So the Jews, racially, historically, the Jews have been heterogeneous, one way, one appearance,
Okay, yeah.
one appearance.
Gotcha. Thus, despite the view usually held, the Jewish people is racially heterogeneous. Oh, because he said racially.
Mhm.
Okay. In constant migrations and its relations. So wherever they move,
We stay together.
who we, made it and related with.
Spanish people and the Mexican people.
When we go to Philly, where we go? The little store to get some cheap stuff. Chinatown. Every major city got a Chinatown. That's how we Jews did it. Okay, we kicked out over here. Let's go shop in Poland. But this is all Goshen now. So he's saying everywhere the Jews went, they stayed together and they married together. We didn't intermix. That's what he's saying. Racially, we're heterogeneous, one people.
And they said this was voluntarily or otherwise, with the widest variety of nations and peoples have brought about such a degree of crossbreeding that the so-called people of Israel can produce examples of traits typical of every people. For proof, it will suffice to compare the Rabbinical, sturdy, heavily built Rotterdam Jew.
So he's saying, for example, my case study, let's take a look at the Rubicon sturdy Jews of Rotterdam. He says, let's take a look at the Rubicon sturdy Jews of Rotterdam. Which one of you would call the Khazars sturdy with their frame? Ain't they small, frail people? He says, let's take a look at the Rubicon. Can someone take your dumb phone and type in the word Rubicon for me? Take your dumb phone and type in Rubicon. RUBICUND. Or those online, participate with us, please. RUBICUND, Rubicon. Everyone say Shema when you did it. Those online too. Those online, y'all with us, Rubicon. RUBICUND.
Shema.
What did y'all come up with? What did it say?
Having a ruddy complexion, high color.
Ruddy or ruddy?
Ruddy, my friend.
Having a ruddy complexion, high color. Gina, what you got?
Same thing, having a ruddy color, high color.
Shamaria, what you got? You didn't do it. So when you got me doing all kind of things. Those online, what you come up with? You got image? Did you click on images? Click on images if you can. Click on images. What images you came up with, Zamaria? See the white boy, right? So the first results when you type in images, they want to pull up a little non-melanated person. Scroll up a little bit. Just scroll up a little bit.
So,
You clicked on images?
yeah, I see.
What was that
I
word?
see Trump on here too.
Yeah, he's on there.
Oh, I see ruddy meaning, and I see two black men.
Oh,
What's that word?
RUBICUND, Rubicon. So the first results, you get Trump and Trump-looking people. But Zamaria kept scrolling up.
I don't see no black.
Keep scrolling up, Queen.
You notice the color of this bread.
Huh?
So you notice the color of this bread.
The bread is
brown.
Rubicon.
Yeah.
You see how you got to dig for the truth?
Rubicon map. The map is brown.
Huh? What'd you say?
There's a map, Rubicon, by somebody in the It's colored brown, dark brown.
Zamaria, type in Rubicon art. Rubicon art. So because they control the internet, they control Google and Wikipedia. If you just stop on the surface and look and listen to these seminary pastors, these Protestants, they're gonna say, see, this is right. People ain't right.
They got a picture of wolves and all the wolves' coats is brown or gray.
Rubicon art is dark brown.
You just gotta keep scrolling down.
You might see it in the related searches.
I have two kids with reddish light color.
Reddish light color. So Arthur Koestler says, historically, the Jews are racially heterogeneous, meaning they are the same, one thing. They are one thing. And he says, as a case study, as my example, let's take a look at the Jews who are living in Rotterdam. That's somewhere in Europe, England or somewhere. So that's why they had to come up with that Black Power movement, Africa. They love that. Us wearing gold medallions with Africa on it. I went to Cowtown, got me 2 or 3 of them.
Because we ain't claiming our true heritage. So they good with any other. Oh, they Muslims? Great. Oh, they Black Power, the African American.
Because now you don't know that y'all was in Rotterdam.
It's so stupid.
You don't know that you was in Poland.
Wow.
You don't know that Boar's Head cheese, they learned how to process the animals cleanly and correctly by our ancestors. Y'all didn't know how to slaughter an animal with humanity. So now you run Boar's Head cheese and Boar's Head meats, the best meats on the market. Don't know, we taught them that. You see how when they control the media, the first search results for Rubicon came up Trump-looking people. But when you go below the surface, Rubicon art is dark brown art.
That's one thing about studying that our people have not yet all caught on to, that just because it says something on the surface doesn't mean that that's what it is.
It says it right there.
It says it right there. And that includes the different translations that we have too. And you know, so sometimes people just need to like try to see it from a whole picture instead of just trying to use the first thing you see.
And you gotta fast and pray. We're getting this stuff didn't come to, I didn't come up with this. Abba gave me like, take a look. Let's start with this nation's I'm gonna judge the nation. And then let me get in these books. So you gotta be searching Abba Yah. You gotta be fast. Our fast day is not just a game. It's not just we're overcoming demons every week. We're on the front lines. Some days you're gonna be like Ali. And I remember Ali played around sometimes too much he played around. And George Foreman hit him for real. And then Ali had to get his stuff together. That's you and I. Hey, this ain't no game. You better pray for real. So we pray and fast to get this understanding. Take that back from the top.
Thus, despite, or
when it gets to Rubicon.
All right.
For proof, it will suffice to compare the Rubicon sturdy, heavily built Rotterdam Jew with his co-religious, say in Salonika. With his co-religious what? Co-religionist, say in Salonika. Salonika. So let's compare the Rubicon sturdy built Jew with those of Salonika, Thessalonica. Who did Paul write that letter to? Thessalonians. To the Thessalonians. So who are those Thessalonians? They are sturdy Rubicon Jews. Who's the next New Testament written to? Sturdy Rubicon brown-faced Jews. This is the history you don't get when you follow your oppressors and go to their cemetery schools.